the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little breakdown of Niners Bucs. Man, what a showdown we're going to get Sunday in Tampa. The 4-1 Niners, the 4-1 Bucs. The battle for supremacy in the NFC with Philly losing to the New York Giants on Thursday Night Football to get things rolling. That makes Tampa Niners the showdown of showdowns in the NFC, and it's going to be a good one. Of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out, and they do run out. Also, 49er football season on the Krug Show all season long, presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, let's talk a little bit about this thing. Good to see everybody here as we're going live. We're here. If you're sitting going, where are you? I'm here in the 49ers studio, the KMBR studio, on Tasman Street at Levi's, getting ready for the Shanahan press conference. But let's talk a little bit about this matchup. As far as the Niners, both the Niners and Buccaneers roll into this thing super banged up, right? And we'll get into that. That's going to be a major part of this subplot of this game is the injuries. The injuries are a big part of it. Just yesterday, Ricky Pearsall did not practice. Brock Purdy did not practice. Jordan Watkins, Yetur Gross-Matos, Robert Beal Jr. all did not practice. So the 49ers are limping for sure. The Buccaneers are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under is set at 47.5. They moved this thing. They flexed it into the 1 p.m. afternoon window. So it's a 1:25 West Coast start, 4:25 East Coast start. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo on the call nationally. Justin Allegri and Tim Ryan will be on the call on the Sports Leader for on the Niners radio broadcast, radio network, I should say. Really interesting matchup. Last year, Niners beat Tampa 23-20. Niners have won 4 straight against the Buccaneers. And but the big question to me is about CMC. Can he go off as a receiver in this game? If you say, well, what are you talking about? Tampa's allowed the 3rd most receiving yards per game to running backs. CMC has 387 receiving yards. He leads the NFL in both yards from scrimmage with 669 and touches with 130 touches. Wow. CMC's 387 receiving yards are 117 more than any other running back. So this is kind of the weakness of the Bucs, is they have had a hard time defending running backs, and the Niners have been unable to get CMC going as a from scrimmage as a runner. He's averaging 3.1 yards per carry. So the offensive line is not doing a great job in front of him. 1.47 yards per contact before contact is all he's getting. So they're not opening run lanes. They've got a rookie at left guard in Colby. They've got Brendel at center. They've got Pooney, who's regressed at right guard. And they're struggling on that offensive line. Hopefully they can get it going. This would be an odd week if the Niners could get it going, because Tampa's got Vita Vea in the middle, and they were a really, really good run defense. So can the Niners get the run game going? It's unlikely that they're going to get it going this weekend, but we'll see. We'll see. And they're going to try for sure. The big thing is going to be turnovers. It always is, but I mean, if you look at the numbers, Tampa Bay offensively, they just don't turn it over. Their offense has turned the ball over on only 3.8% of their drives. That's the 2nd lowest turnover rate in the NFL. So Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers to date don't turn it over. And now they're going up against a Niner defense that struggles to get turnovers, struggles to force turnovers. The 49ers have forced only 5 turnovers in 5 games. They haven't forced an interception in 12 games. 12 games. The Niners defense has no interceptions and only 1 sack since Nick Bosa left 2 games ago. So, doesn't bode well. Really doesn't bode well for their chances. We'll see. We'll see. But Tampa doesn't turn it over. The Niners don't really force turnovers. Tampa Bay's defense is actually worse than the Niners at forcing turnovers. They've only forced 4 in 5 games. The Niners offense has turned it over quite a bit. 8 turnovers, 4th most in the NFL. But a lot of that was Purdy. Mac Jones only has 2 turnovers in his 3 games. So turnovers are going to be a big part of this thing. They always are. Wow. Ricardo Rodriguez dropping a $10 super chat here. He says, it just disappeared. Let me see if I can go back to it. Can I go back to it? It's just sitting there. Can I touch it? Oh, there it is. He says, they better get another quarterback with this O-line. It's not sustainable with how Mac was beat up. There's no O-line then out there. None. I'm praying for Martinez because who knows if Mac will finish versus the Bucs. Yeah, well, you know what? We may see Martinez. Appreciate that, by the way. We may see Martinez. And don't fear that, by the way. I don't fear that. I think Adrian Martinez is a really good prospect. Adrian Martinez is kind of a winner. He won at Nebraska. He won at K-State. He won in the UFL. I mean, if Adrian Martinez, could you imagine the story if Adrian Martinez came off the bench and led the 49ers to a Super Bowl? The only guy in history to lead both his team to a UFL and a Super Bowl title in the same year, Adrian Martinez. But I'm telling you, he's talented. He's a winner. He's athletic. He's fast. He's resourceful. He's not a a lot of people are like, oh my God, Adrian Martinez. He's better than that. He's better than that. So that's something to look for, though, of course, is the turnover angle in this game. Both these teams are really battle-tested. They've both played a lot of one-possession games. Both teams have played 5 one-possession games. So I think it's safe to say this one's going to be close. The Niners play close games, competitive games. The Buccaneers play close games, competitive games. As far as Mac, one of the big subplots to watch, and we'll talk about it later today, we'll ask Shanahan about it, the status of Mac Jones. I don't think we're talking enough about that. First of all, Mac Jones has been great. 6 touchdowns, 1 pick, 99.1 passer rating. He looks fantastic. He's been really, really good. Shanahan said that he should be good for Sunday, but he didn't throw on Thursday. We've been talking about his ankle injury and his knee injury and this and that, but he also has an oblique injury. And I'm kind of wondering if the oblique is worse than, maybe is that why he didn't throw yesterday? He's got the oblique and they're just trying to quiet down the oblique. That's kind of an oblique for somebody whose job it is to throw the football and contort their body in a bunch of different directions can be significant. That's not a nothing kind of a deal. So I think that will be the question going into this game is how is Mac Jones physically and how is his oblique? And if it's not okay, you may see Adrian Martinez. Adrian Martinez blows out the Bucs. There'll be a quarterback controversy. But yeah, that to me is the big story going into this game. Mac Jones is oblique. Now the Niners should be getting guys back. Juwan Jennings is going to be back. I would think that he's battling a bunch of injuries. He's got a rib injury. He's got a shoulder injury. He's got an ankle injury. I mean, he's really banged up. But JJ's a warrior, and he was out there at practice yesterday, and he's going to try to give it a go. I think he's going to be out there. Ricky Pearsall, I think, is probably not going to be able to give it a go. I think he's going to be probably further down the road, maybe next week against Atlanta. But we're going to see, I think, Jennings return. We're going to see Malik Mustafa's return. He's coming back from the ACL. He looks really good on the practice field. Man, I can't wait to see Mustafa. Mustafa just absolutely hit one of the hardest hitting players in the NFL. And to get this guy back, he's a good coverage player. He's a hitter. He's a leader. He's a true alpha. Getting him back is huge. Because, I mean, he's just such a physical player. He's a tone-setting physical player. He's the kind of guy where he delivers that woo hit that everybody goes, woo, woo. That's Malik Mustafa. I hope he gets out there and really hits hard. Ernberg in the house. He says, over Ricky. Wait, hold on a second. Can we see that one? Why is it not on the screen anymore? Oh, there it is. He said, it's over, Ricky. 2 injury prone. 42-7, Bucs win. All right. Ernberg. Thank you, Joseph. So, yeah, Jennings is back. Mustafa's back. Possibly Kevin Givens could be back. He has the pec injury, and, I think he's probably going to return. He practiced. It's the Niners could have other guys. They could go with Sebastian Valdez. They could go with Evan Anderson off the practice squad. But Kevin Givens is trying to get back on the field, and he's got a pec injury. He's working his way back. As far as the Buccaneers, Chris Godwin showed up on the injured list with a fibula injury. He's out. Mike Evans is out. Bucky Irving's out. Benjamin Morrison, the Notre Dame corner, is out. Zion McCollum, the big corner, is out. So they have a number of guys who are out. If you said, give me a couple keys in this game, I'll give you one for sure. Keep Hassan Reddick quiet. Hassan Reddick's been bad. He's got 1 sack. He's got 1 hit on the quarterback. They signed him for $14 million. He hasn't done anything. Keep him quiet. Keep him quiet. He is really, really a very dangerous edge rusher, as we all know. You got Yaya Diaby on the other side. But Reddick and Diaby, to me, Reddick's the guy who's really quiet. You got to keep him quiet. I think that's number one. You can't let Reddick start to heat up. He's really not been very good this year. Keep him in that mode. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I was looking at a list of defensive players. PFSN did some rankings of all the top defensive players, and they had Jeffrey Simmons as the top defensive lineman in pro football. He was the highest rated defensive tackle, I should say. Number 2 was DeForest Buckner. Number 3 was Chris Jones. But they had Simmons with the best grade of anybody. And Lynch did say he's having a lot of trade conversations. I'm not for necessarily trading for the big name guy, but I think I would change. I think I would break my own rule if Simmons were available, just because I think he's that dominating. In a lot of ways, Jeffrey Simmons is that difference maker that they were hoping Hargrave would be, that Chris Jones has been. And with Bosa suffering these injuries and all these young players on your front, man, if you could add a player like Jeffrey Simmons, that would be an amazing. To me, that's a difference maker. Shanahan was talking about, we only want to make a trade if we can find a guy that, makes a difference for us this year and then doesn't cost us a lot next year. So, they don't want to trade that number 1 pick next year. Pretty sure that pick's going to be earmarked for an offensive tackle. They don't want to move that pick for in a trade. But if you could make a deal for Simmons without moving that pick, wow, I would be very, very, very interested. Because he is, he can be moved around. You can play him inside. You can play him outside. He is just a beast. The motor is running hot. He's playing terrific football. He's on a bad rebuilding Tennessee team. I would absolutely go for Simmons if I could. Simmons is, To me, that seems really ambitious, but I like, Hendrickson's a free agent at the end of the year. So you're going to trade draft capital for a free agent? I don't know. But Simmons, man, he's such a difference maker. And just looking at how hard it is to get that defensive tackle that's great, that commands double teams. It's like when you have those guys, you almost don't realize how golden you are, how set you are. And then when you don't have them, you're like, oh, yeah, we missed that guy badly. Going back, people asking Shanahan, hey, is this similar to the, to 2019? Well, no, that team had healthy Bosa and D Ford and Armstead and Buckner inside. This team's much younger than that. So, but a guy like Simmons would give you that kind of a line once again. One other thing to watch for this weekend, Fred Warner is 4 tackles away from tying Patrick Willis. He's 5 tackles away from surpassing Patrick Willis as the all-time 49er leading tackler. 2 awesome linebackers, man. 2 just incredible linebackers. Fred's maybe the greatest coverage linebacker of all time. Willis played in an era where, there were guys that were big and then there were guys that were fast. And, the Derek Brookses of the world played at 225, 230. They're really, really fast. And then there were a lot of guys that played at like 255, 260, and they were really kind of slow. And it's like Patrick Willis, to me, was the guy who was as big as the big guys and as fast as the fast guys. I mean, he was a super blue chipper. The Niners went and coached the Senior Bowl. Singletary fell in love with him, and he was a super blue chipper, and they got him in the top 10. And, it's like sometimes the 5-star guys, the blue chip guys, also become the greatest pros, and that was Patrick Willis. He was great in every way imaginable. Against the run, against the pass, sideline to sideline at 250 pounds, when really he had movement ability of a 225-pound man, but he was 250. And that extra weight was probably just too much for those feet eventually, and the feet just gave way. But what an incredible player he was. And that really was what I thought separated him, is that there were fast guys and there were big guys. He was both. He was a big, powerful, guy who could take on guards, but he could also, you couldn't get to the edge. You could not run to the perimeter against Bowman and Willis. You just couldn't do it. They were so fast outside, but they were also stout inside. So what a combo. I thought it was going to last forever. Unfortunately, it ended way too soon. But both those guys were 250 pounds and could run like the wind. And the Niners could let basically Bowman and Willis cover that entire second level and go with a dime package, a nickel look, an extra, 5-man front. I mean, they gave the defensive coordinator just so many options because Bowman and Willis could cover that second level all by themselves. I love Fred Warner, and he's one of the greatest coverage linebackers ever. He's probably a better cover linebacker than Willis, but Willis, I think I'd give him the slight edge over Warner. Though I do believe Warner's going to the Hall of Fame. I think that day is coming. All right, so that is a full breakdown on Niners Buccaneers. I think one other thing to look for in this game is I think Kendrick Bourne is going to have a good game. With no Pearsall and Jennings less than 100%. Last week, Bourne, 11 targets, 10 catches for 142 yards. Tampa has allowed 5 different wide receivers to go for almost 13 fantasy points. So they're struggling defending the wide receivers. They're beat up in the secondary. They've allowed the most fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks, or number 8, I should say, in the league, and most fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks. So I expect Mac Jones, if he's, hopefully we'll ask about this oblique, but I expect Mac Jones, if he's healthy, to have another decent day against a beat-up secondary. I think it should be a heavy passing game plan. I think he's going to get the ball out fast. I think he's going to be real deliberate to his first target, and I think he's going to have a good day. The other guy I'd say look for on Sunday is Jake Tonjes. Tonjes, the last two games, 16 targets in the last two games. He's caught 10 balls for 99 yards and 3 touchdowns in the last two games, or 2 touchdowns, I should say. And then going up against a Tampa defense that has given up 4 touchdowns the last 2 weeks to Dallas Goedert and A.J. Barner. So Tampa's defense has struggled against defending the tight end, and I think this is another day for Tonjes, who's been a really pleasant surprise to make an impact. I think Tonjes has a real nice day. So I like Tonjes to have a nice day. I like Bourne to have a nice day. I like CMC to have a nice day. I like Mack to have another, prolific passing day. Hopefully they can do a better job at protecting him. And then the big question, which I haven't mentioned at all, is Emeka Egbuka. I mean, can the Niners stop the hottest rookie receiver we've seen in the last 25 years? He literally is the most refined rookie receiver since Randy Moss. That was 1998. It's 2025. So it's been a long time since we've seen an awesome rookie receiver. And Egbuka is exactly that. He's polished. He's smooth, subtle movements, like a veteran. He understands how to get himself open. He's got great ball skills. He's super smart, dedicated football player, really polished, really veteran-like for a young guy. And I think, to me, now I love the Niners matchup because, to me, Demo, Renardo, and Upton Stout, you got 3 really good athletes who can mirror the best receivers up and down the field. So I think the Niners have good players at corner. But Egbuka is going to be a challenge. They're going to go to him a lot, with no Godwin. I think you're going to see a ton of Egbuka. So no Mike Evans, no Godwin, and Baker's going to be looking for Egbuka. And Egbuka was awesome last week against Seattle. So Niners have to somehow bother that rookie receiver. The only way to bother him, because he's so polished and so refined in so many ways, you're not really going to bother him. You just have to get a better athlete on him. I like Egbuka's advantage when he's going against big corners like Seattle has. I like him in that matchup because he's very strong and he's got good movement ability against the big corners. But against smaller corners, and the Niners, between Renardo and Demo and Upton Stout especially, have some incredible athletes, guys that can really, hug up on you that you can't get away from, that are really dominant physically. So they're smaller, but they're harder to shake. And I think that's the kind of corner that is going to give Egbuka problems, is that corner that's physically dominant. I don't think the Niners are going to travel their corners with Egbuka. I think wherever he moves around is where he will be defended. If he's in the slot, I think he'll be on Upton Stout. If he's outside, it's going to be Green or Lenore. I don't think the Niners are going to travel around the field with Egbuka. But he's dangerous, and he's very, very talented. So Baker's hot as heck. Just completed 88% of his passes. Egbuka's the hottest rookie receiver we've seen through 5 games in 25 plus years. And this Bucs team has Vita Vea, and Bowles brings exotic blitzes. And Antoine Winfield's a hell of a player. And Levante David has been a great player for a long time. So it's going to be a huge challenge. But I like the Niners in this game. I think the Niners are better in some ways on the road as a dog. I don't know why, but it just brings the whole team together. And I think they're going to fire a big effort and beat Tampa on Sunday. So there's a lot of paths to victory for both teams. But I think the number one path for the Niners is short passing and ball control and keep what's the best defense against Stafford last week? ball control on offense, complementary football, keeping the Rams offense on the sidelines. What's the best game plan for Baker and Egbuka and this Tampa offense? Ball control offense, keep Tampa's offense on the sideline, win the time of possession by a decided margin. So I think that's what it's going to take with the 49ers, with a young defense, with all these injuries, with their backup quarterback, with, going up against some of these really tough opponents. You can win, but you got to play complementary football. And by the way, 49ers, if you're looking for some disrespect, Shanahan, if you're looking for some disrespect, all coaches are looking for some disrespect. Every single NFL network and NFL.com prognosticator picked Tampa. All of them. I think there were 10 of them. 10 of them made predictions. 10 of them said Tampa's going to beat your team. So nobody believes in you, Kyle. Nobody believes in you, 49ers. Prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sleeper. Once again, 49er football season presented by Sleeper, fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. One-stop shop, blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry. Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. Also, thanks to Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles down in Pacific Grove, California, the great Anthony Catania. And also thanks to Claw Daddy Arcades. They're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to all of you. Thanks for watching The Krug Show. And we're at Levi's here. We'll talk to Kyle in a bit. We'll go to practice. Check out Niners Nightly tonight at 6 o'clock on KMBR. I'll also be with Derek Papa and Adam Copeland in the 5 o'clock hour for a segment there. I'll also be with Greg Silver sitting in for Greg Papa from 11:30 till about 1 or so here on right here from the KMBR studio on Tasman Street. So I'll be all over KMBR for the rest of the day. But join me tonight as well for Niners Nightly at 6. We got a great hour. The great Todd Husak is going to be in on the show, and we'll talk about Sam Darnold. We'll talk about Mac Jones. We will not talk about Sam Darnold. We'll talk about Baker Mayfield, and we'll talk about Emeka Egbuka, and we'll talk about rookie receivers, and we'll talk Mac Jones and what he's seeing from Mac Jones. So a lot to get to. Really looking forward to that. Thanks to all of you guys, and that's going to do it for us. As long as I can figure out how to turn this off. There we go. Yes. Yes, thank you. Have a good day. The end.